Alright, you guys. So the Count Dankula verdict is in now over in Scotland, and he was fined, I think, £800 sterling for hate speech. And this actually brought to my mind a sentencing late last year in Iceland as well, where two guys were fined 100,000 ISK, which is just under £800 sterling, I think, for hate speech as well, based on pretty shitty as inappropriate Facebook comments to a post or news article or something. And yeah, you know, those comments were shitty and unbecoming and all of that, and I read them and just, you know, some things are really more telling of the person that speaks it, or at least where they're at, than they are of anything else, and it can be addressed. But see, here's the thing with both that case and this particular case. Now, if these acts or this speech or expression is such a threat to society or to the integrity and life and limbs of other individuals, then surely fines wouldn't suffice to do justice to the law. And this is, think, where we find the actual hypocrisy of it, because we've put these, and in some cases, in Iceland, the law is unconstitutional. I don't know what legal experts in the UK would say in regards to common law, but we've pushed these hate speech laws and regulations into action because apparently speech in some way, shape, or form is a threat to people's limbs and safety. Now, if that is the case, if the speech is such a threat, then surely a prison sentence is warranted, is it not? I mean, if someone is a threat to society, you can't just hand him a fine and then assume that that'll call it the day. So yeah, so I really question that. If they really believe that speech is this much of a threat and this much of an issue, and then they go around and just decide to slap people on the wrist with a fine, you know, there's just too much inconsistency there. And I think by way of setting that precedent, I think the court actually undermines the legitimacy of these laws being in place in the first place to begin with. So yes, I seriously question that. And you know, be that as it may, super inappropriate and unbecoming comments or jokes, you know, cracking a joke at Nazis, and oddly enough, it wasn't even the whoever would call themselves a Nazi today. Those people weren't even offended by it. It was everybody else who was offended. But I think the target of the joke kind of went over everybody else's head. Be that as it may. But yeah, this just really made me speculate. The fact that the sentencing seems inconsistent with the uh, the alleged severity of the situation that made people want to enact and introduce these legislations. So it's almost as if it just goes to show that, yeah, you know, we don't really think speech is that scary or dangerous, but, you know, it's a good way to control a population. So, hey, you know, stick to the accepted mantra or we'll slap you on the wrist till you stop misbehaving. Bad citizen, tax slave, whatever. Just shut your mouth and accept what we tell you to think and do, and go out there and work your ass off and just pay your taxes. We rule you. So, at any rate, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Britain responds to this. And I know we've had our quarrels throughout the centuries, but a lot of us up from the cold north are with you. So, you know, it's if you can't express yourself, then really there's no way forward. Even, you know, and I often have made this case in various ways. Not everybody is ever going to be able to express themselves in a becoming fashion, you know, according to what most people would consider becoming fashion. Some people just really are limited and restricted in their capacity to express themselves. And yeah, that's you know, unless you're gonna have a psychological analysis of everyone who's up against these speech regulations and laws, then yeah, it's gonna be tricky. And also, you know, sometimes people have been biting their tongue for too long, and there's a burst like this, which is also another threat of these laws being in place. Another risk with having these laws, that people are going to be trying their best not to violate them, and they're going to hold their tongue, and they're not going to speak up, and not challenge what's accepted, even, you know, though they feel strongly against it. And then eventually they're just going to burst, and it's either going to be in bad words or worse. And that's a serious risk. It can be a lot worse when people have felt disenfranchised for a long time, and then the burst certainly comes out, and it might be a lot more than you might ever be able to see coming. So be careful what you wish for if you want to restrict expression. And again, unless you know what you're up against, and unless you know your enemy, you really can't deal with it. So have to be able to let that thing come out into light and address it accordingly. The sooner the better. So right from the get-go. Anyways, those were my 2 cents from now. So greetings to the UK. I know I have a lot of followers from the UK, a lot of subscribers, and people who come and check out my channel from the UK. So to all of you over there in Britain, my sincerest greetings from the cold north. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what you guys do with this. Viking out.